15 years ago to the day, Doctor Who aired for the first time since 1996, and to celebrate, I'll be taking a look at the episode that started it all, Rose. Russell T Davies had a tough job bringing Doctor Who back. How is he going to introduce a whole new era of the show, as well as keeping the old fans happy? Simple. This episode. Rose starts with that now iconic opening shot, zooming into the Earth, establishing the setting of the episode right from the off. The viewer is then plunged straight into the life of Rose Tyler, a young 21st century girl living in London who works in a shop. Not only does this instantly make the character relatable to many, but also features as a plot device later in the series. Her life, job, family and boyfriend are all introduced within a matter of 60 seconds due to the fantastic opening sequence, which features the track Westminster Bridge by Murray Gold, which is just sublime. Said sequence escalates into the next scene, in which Rose is thrown into peril immediately. She goes into the basement of her workplace to return some money to a colleague who she cannot find. This scene is shot fantastically. The lighting doesn't have much of a hand in it, but the direction by Keith Boak is something to be admired. Boak uses a shot of this long, ominous corridor in which Rose stands, solitary. She soon finds that the old shop window dummies have come to life and are surrounding her, ready to attack, but this is intervened by a grasp of the hand and a voice that says, "Run!" Enter the Ninth Doctor, in my personal opinion, the best Doctor of the current run of the show. But I can only feel sorry for Paul McGann's portrayal in the TV movie. He was sidelined, as up to this point was still the current Doctor, and there was no in-universe explanation, at least not until 2013. Nonetheless, Christopher Eccleston's performance is what solidifies this series of Doctor Who. And what a choice it was. Christopher Eccleston is not only a well-rounded and positive human being who's done some really great things in recent years, must I say. He is genuinely convincing, and dare I say the best actor Doctor Who has ever had. And not just fighting aliens in the police box through time and space. From what I've seen of him in other shows, he can play any role perfectly.
Adultery you're citing, is it? With Yoko?
Mr. Lennon.
Do you want to know how many other women have adulterated since we got married?
No, I don't.
Too many to count, girl. We'd be here all day.
Shut up!
Without him, I doubt Doctor Who would still be on TV today. This is a man who's been stripped bare by at this point an unseen event that leaves him sporting a leather jacket and short black hair. A common complaint there is that his costume isn't doctory, but that's the point. Costume designer Lucinda Wright hit the nail on the head with this one. Personally, I love his little jumper changes between episodes. The purple one's a personal favourite of mine. We then get an exposition scene, but this early in the episode? You'd be mad to do this in the current series, but Christopher Eccleston and Billie Piper's acting just sells it. This scene confirms that this story is a return to the classic monster, the Autons, but more on that later. The next scene, set the morning after, gives a bit more on Rose's friends and family. We have Jackie being typical Jackie, persuading Rose to get compensation off this event, and Mickey, well, being Mickey. It's hard to fit these characters into any archetypes, because they just play the role so well themselves.
In my bedroom,
Yes, there is.
where anything could happen.
No.
Later on in this scene, the Doctor returns, and Christopher Eccleston proves himself to be able to do comedy acting just as well, with some pretty funny jokes that still hold up to this day. And then we get the infamous Turn of the Earth speech, which is fantastic. It's not particularly profound or a telling off or talking down as recent speeches have appeared to be. Now, considering this isn't even the Ninth Doctor's best speech, that's pretty good going by Russell's part.
I can feel it. The turn of the earth.
And just in case you're wondering what I think his best speech is, it's the hologram speech from The Parting of the Ways, but more on that when I come to review that episode. And now we get the first of what could become a staple in the series, the Searching for the Doctor sequence, in which Rose meets up with the online conspiracy theorists to discuss the Doctor. This is fantastic and somewhat strange that it took 40 years to show that the Doctor has a lasting effect on people he's never even met, and there are nutters who are searching for him. Something that was later expanded upon in Series 2's rather controversial but overall sublime Love and Monsters. In the time that Rose is discussing with Clive, Mickey gets eaten by a bin. Yeah, they could have done that scene a lot better, but I suppose it adds some light-hearted comic relief to a rather bleak and serious moment. Oh, and probably worth mentioning that for special effects from 2005, they're not bad, and yes, a little rough around the edges and quite literally too with that chroma key at the end. They still hold up to this day. We now move to the restaurant scene where the Doctor pops back again to save the day with another somewhat comedic moment where the Ninth Doctor fires a cork into an Auton duplicate of Mickey and then proceeds to pull his head off. And here we find ourselves at the TARDIS reveal, that bigger on the inside moment that we're always going to get. And it's done brilliantly. A properly human reaction to the TARDIS, which personally I really like. This design gets a lot of flack due to its organic look, but I think it works quite well. It definitely suits the Ninth Doctor. The dark and somewhat ominous lighting really gives it a great atmosphere. Things begin to go wrong for the Doctor, and we get a fantastic scene that displays the flexibility of Billie Piper and Christopher Eccleston's acting ability, which, considering this was the first scene they ever filmed together, is just amazing. Then we get the confrontation. The Doctor talks as the last of his species to another. In no way is he bragging, telling off, or belittling the villain, as unfortunately we are used to in the current series. He's giving it a chance, as he says, feeling sympathetic towards a lone survivor, something we also see in stories such as Dalek or The Unquiet Dead, the latter of which is just criminally underrated. The Doctor is trapped by the Autons and is left helpless, and it's up to Rose to save the day. Meanwhile, a full-scale alien invasion is taking place, and the Autons are genuinely threatening here. Rose throws the anti-plastic, which, yes, does act as some sort of magic potion, by the way, and destroys the Nestine, saving the day. In most of the episodes in this first series, the Doctor isn't the hero, at least not for the whole narrative. In this episode, it's Rose. In The Unquiet Dead, it's Gwyneth. In World War III, it's Mickey, and so on and so forth. So, why is Doctor Who still on TV? Is it this episode alone? Yeah, potentially. Is it the fans and the expanded media keeping the show alive by introducing new plots, characters and narratives? Quite possibly. Or is it Russell T Davies and Julia Gardner's extensive efforts to reboot the series? Rose was just the start of this. Russell writes the story to hook the audience by firstly introducing a new era of Doctor Who and appealing to a general audience by bringing back a classic monster to show that the characters may be different, but this is still Doctor Who. The series that follows gives many different narrative, archetypes and themes such as the moralities of capital punishment, TV video nasties, alien invasion and paradoxes. But I digress. Without Rose, Doctor Who would not be what it is today. We owe it all to Russell T Davies and Julia Gardner, who, by the way, I don't think gets as much credit as she deserves, Billie Piper and the wonderful Christopher Eccleston.